Let's get salty!
Everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and there is major news in the Hearthstone world, more behind the scenes, but it's a big deal. Is Ben Lee, the Hearthstone game director, was on the Coin Concede podcast, which I did check out, and shout out to that. I'll link this article below, which I believe links everything you want to check out from Out of Cards. Also, great site. Ben Lee, you might recognize him actually from the Mercenaries reveal stream, which was quite infamous for its reasons, as we all know, has announced that he is stepping down as game director, but will stay with Blizzard on that like secret project that him and like Alec Dawson and Mike Dede, a bunch of ex Hearthstone devs are working on. I think Peter Whalen's there too, a ton of very well-known guys. And yeah, he announced this today, and that he would be replaced by, I believe, Nathan Leon Smith. Well, what does this all mean? What was Ben Lee doing in Hearthstone? How long has he been there? Well, he's been there since 2018. I guess shortly after Ben Brode left, he came in and took over for Ben Brode and all of that. And since his tenure, I will say Hearthstone, in terms of like its metrics, its metagame and all of that, has not been particularly favorable for a lot of people. We've seen a lot of content creators leave. We've seen views drop. We've seen a lot of negativity regarding that stuff. However, during his time, the game mode itself, the client, and the rewards around it have improved tremendously. He brought in duplicate protection to card packs. That was one of the big things. He also infamously brought in the Battle Pass, which we kind of talked about pretty intensively and ranted about. And originally, as he was the one that kind of pitched it, we went pretty hard at him because it wasn't what they originally promised. However, since then, since they've improved it, I haven't heard complaints. I thought it's been a lot better. You get a lot more rewards, a lot of good stuff. They also introduced like starter decks. He's really proud of that. As well, they introduced battlegrounds. They introduced mercenaries, duels, classic mode, more stuff than ever. The core set in particular, a great addition. So yes, for me, Hearthstone, the game itself, the way it's played, I would say it's kind of been worse in a lot of ways for me. The peak days of your Frozen Throne, your Angoro, all that stuff wasn't during his time, but you've had good expansions that people have loved, in particular Skullman's Academy. We've had as recent of Descended Dragons people liked, but recently, yeah, the meta game pretty contentious, and we might have one more video talking about that because I played Standard all day today, and the Kazakhstan nerf, yeah, they didn't do nothing, and the meta is just, holy crap, is it bad. But overall, I don't want to make his departure a negative thing because it's not, or I don't want to also celebrate it like it's some positive, because he's brought a lot of good into the game. A lot of great things have happened, but we also don't know. We don't really know per se what a game director does. We don't know how invested they are in terms of like how much they have to impact the card design, the decisions, expansion themes, all of that. We don't really know, but you can imagine, you know, the game director, like a film director, is kind of in charge of all the pieces below them. So if things aren't performing well, they've got to reorchestrate that. And if you think things have been going that great, you'll be upset with the job he's done, and maybe you'll be excited for who he's going to be replaced by. But overall, I would say there's been a lot more good than negative. And Ben's replacement will be Nathan's Leon Smith, who Deck Tech had this quote about him. Deck Tech's one of like the key social guys. I've known him before he even started working on Hearthstone, played against him on ladder and stuff. Really awesome guy. I would trust what Nicholas has to say. And he said, Nathan is one of my favorite people on the team. He always reviews my copy and is first to comment, approve, while also running an entire department. Crazy work ethic. He brings the fun and hype to meetings and talks to me about decks we're playing. And even in the interview that the Coin Concede, Ben himself said that Nathan's favorite game is Hearthstone. He's not just some random executive stepping in. He's passionate about the game. So hopefully he'll do a good job filling the shoes and all of that. Also did this interview. He did this interview where he answered a lot of questions. I thought some of it was quite interesting. The key things that I would like to go over that maybe I agree with, disagree with, or whatever. So the first thing I want to say here is something that I flat out cannot agree with, is Blizzard isn't afraid to admit when they are wrong. Currently, the current standard meta is something where it's like, I think you need to admit something's wrong with United as Stormwind, with Kazakhstan kind of taking over and just really frustrating people that there's no build around, you just race it out. Boards not mattering, and they never even admitted to the original battle pass really being a big mistake. I've seen them like, well, we were going to give you stuff later in events and you guys were impatient and then we just added it to the timeline. It's a lot of things, and Mercenaries is another key point where, you know, they haven't really talked about, you know, the mistakes they've made with the rewards, the way it's launched. They've kind of hinted that it hasn't launched great, but again, I feel like this is kind of a cop-out. Maybe they admit it behind the scenes, but I feel like publicly it's so rare to see when they'll admit a mistake. So I don't know about that one. Ben noted he thinks we'll see less OTK decks in the future again. The game is always going through cycles. We've heard this, but we'll believe it when we see it. And a lot of people are very frustrated with the way things are. But if that's their plan going forward, that's great, because I think a very large amount of us are kind of ready for board battles to matter a lot more than they are right now. They mentioned their balance challenges. They say sometimes they aren't very good at their balancing because Hearthstone's scale in numbers overall is quite small. They basically said that, you know, their playtest group inside, basically they're outpaced by the Hearthstone community within like the first 30 minutes of an expansion launch, because there's millions of players, right? And there's only a few of them, which is why I've pitched so many times for like a private or public test run, whatever you want to call it, where they could like contract some people or a big group of people to work on like a server test run, sign NDAs, not spoil anything, and give them tips on like maybe of stuff that could be broken. However, that costs a lot of money, it costs time, and it's something they've never even commented about the willingness to do. So I don't see that happening, but they've already admitted that this is an issue, that there's just not enough of them. Well, maybe a public test realm where, again, you sign people to NDAs, that could help out. I keep suggesting it. I know other games do it, but maybe it's just not feasible in Hearthstone land. It's hard to tell. He was asked about a global not less than one mana rule is not something Hearthstone should have. He said this isn't intuitive to players. The rule should be on the text for the card. They use this rule on cards when they know a card can be disruptive. I agree with this. It's not intuitive. I think it's fun for certain cards to cost 0. It's just, you got to set that boundary correctly, and they're working. I've seen it improving on some ways and it's gotten better, but I think it could be improved a lot more going forward. But again, the fact they're talking about it, and we've seen, I mean, to the front with Warrior, that card where your minions can't cost less than a certain amount, they're aware of it, so that's good. But yeah, I'm in agreement. I don't think a universal rule would be good for the game. He talks about kind of the burnout issue. When your game is 8 years old, some players just get bored, and that's okay, and I think that's reasonable. How many games can you honestly say you've played for 8 years straight in your life? It's pretty rare. It's pretty amazing when it happens, and I'm someone that it's basically happened, and I get pissed off as much as anybody, but I keep coming back, and that's pretty spectacular. And I don't know how well, you know, how much you want to really encourage people like, oh, well, just come back, and they might not come back, but overall people are going to get sick of your game, are going to leave, and you kind of have to expect it. They were asked about Mercenaries, and man, I really wish they would have drilled this home. They really didn't ask very specific questions about Mercenaries. By the way, I watched this interview. I did watch it. I said they didn't have the content they wanted with Mercenaries to launch after release. Again, why is there no beta tag? At least every other, like, Duels is in beta, Battlegrounds is in beta. It's really, the whole Mercenaries thing to me is just so fishy and so just everything about it is so different than Hearthstone and every other game mode, so predatory and so aggressive that, again, everything around it, even the answers around it, were just weird. They said there's some interesting systems coming. They didn't expect players to earn so many excess coins so fast. Again, this makes zero sense. If you've played the game just a decent amount, you would be able to see how quickly you'll get the coins. I don't play a ridiculous amount, and I had excess coins very fast. There's no way they should, like, the fact they didn't see this coming is more alarming. If that's true, that's alarming, because there's just no way they should not have seen that coming. He says Mercenaries is meant to be a game where you can keep coming back whenever you want, a focus on single player content at your own pace. Again, this doesn't really ring true with PvP, because to keep up you need a like really high level, high maxed out mercs, and you can't just do that playing casually because they're constantly introducing Mercenaries. So again, it's just it doesn't really make sense. And he did say the rate at which Mercenaries was consumed was incredibly fast, more than they were ever expecting. Some players were fully done with Mercenaries after the first week. And he did say Mercenaries did great on this business side last year. The reality is a successful product in the game lets Hearthstone grow. And that's what it comes down to. They've made money off of it, right? They've made money. And that's why we haven't, in my opinion, seen a ton of changes. They haven't been updating things because, well, they're getting money. So unfortunately for a lot of us that think it's just kind of a ripoff, kind of a bit of a scam lately, if they're making money, they don't care. And that's kind of sad. You'd hope they would have pride in the product, want it to be complete. But the fact that they literally launched it without stuff before they wanted it ready is kind of telling. They wanted those pre-order sales. They wanted those sales, period. And that's kind of the mode. It's about making money. And I feel like the fact that that's what they're kind of harping on, you can really see that. He mentioned again, Hearthstone makes more money than most AAA games do per year. I don't doubt that. I mean, the game is, they pump out so much content. How many other AAA game years put out 3 expansions, 3 mini sets, Battlegrounds cosmetics, mercenary content, all sorts of stuff, and all the, like, it's just crazy. You absolutely see that. He kind of talked about stuff coming up in the new year. The new year of the blank may have something to do with some of the characters coming back. He said Pandaren cooking competition was an idea for an expansion, but not currently in production. And then at the end, he said Ben Lee is leaving the Hearthstone team, but will still be working on Blizzard. So that's kind of a breakdown, kind of what it means for the Hearthstone team. We'll have to see if things change up, if they get better or worse. But overall, I would thank Ben for his time. The economy of the game in terms of Hearthstone and everything, I think has gotten a lot better. The meta, for me, definitely debatable and all of that. But again, everything, all that's subjective. But what is absolutely clear is the game is more affordable now than ever. And there's more to do than ever in Hearthstone. So that's cool. It's just, for me, a lot of it's not that fun these days outside of duels. So there you go. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.